Okay, my friends, howdy doody, and welcome to another lunch break where you watch my video and I do sound design. And we're going to make a vital bass today, but before you make any good vital bass, we must slurp. It's too hot. To the kingdom of the slurp elves. Yeah. I could listen to that ARP forever, baby. This is called the DRAGONSLAYER bass ARP, and it's a difficulty level 6.5 stars out of 8.7 stars. Can you follow along today? Can you not? Who knows? I'm sure that I will never find out. So, how did we make this bass? So the key thing about when you're doing sound design, when you're making vital basses and all that, you know what I mean, Marjorie, is my favourite philosophy is to go into every patch with the intention of breaking every rule that I once knew before. That's my idea. So I wanna be like that naughty, that really naughty school child who, no matter what day it is, he comes into class just ready to just cause absolute havoc and get kicked out in the first 5 minutes every time. So you want to be like that naughty kid that gets kicked out of class every time when you're doing sound design in Vital. That's the best way to approach it. Okay, so everything that you thought you knew, when you come in to make a new patch, disregard it all and begin again. So what I actually mean by that is something I have actually mentioned a few times before is the pitching of the oscillators. I really try to not care what the pitch is saying. So you can see here I've got like a -24 sine wave, I've got a -23 plus semi fine tuning 6, and then I've got another sine wave at 6 semitones, -57, all of them just done randomly, okay? And so this is an interesting patch because I've basically kept it quite simple. It's just 3 sine waves at random pitches with some filtering and a bunch of distortion and quite a few effects. But I really like the way that this kind of moves and also the sound. And so it has like a bit of like a few like movements happening at the same time. So let's sort of dive into what I've done here. I've in the MIDI, just to see, you've just got like an F. And so, yeah, let's make it together. So sine wave number 1, -24, no modulations or anything. Sine wave number 2, -23, and okay, so we're gonna have a little bit of a pitch movement on this one, okay? So by detuning them from each other, so one at 24, one at 23, and then, you know, taking into account the fine tuning as well, we create that wobble between the two basses. And by having a little pitch, a little LFO on the fine tuning, I'm able to get the wobble to start fast and then slow down. So just a saw down, LFO1 dragged to the fine tuning, turned up like 0.74, and then it kind of starts a bit faster and gets slower. So that's the first kind of movement that's happening. Then let's add in the next sine wave. And so this one, we're going to use a new LFO. Again, like I said, the pitch is different. This one's really random. It's just on +6 and -57 here. And no movement on any of the pitch anymore, just only on that middle one. And here, what I've got is I've got an LFO on the level. So this time I've got LFO2, and I've used actually a preset that's in Vital, the trance gate, and I've just tweaked it very slightly. So you can kind of see that I've just actually smoothed some of the, because it's quite a pointy, sharp shape that is the trance gate original preset, and I've basically taken to just smoothing it out a little bit and switching the start position to be like just at the end rather than the beginning, because then it kind of Yeah, it's a slightly different start position by like a millisecond. It was just a bit tighter to the beat. But anyway, this LFO is going on the level of this one. So on its own, it sounds like this, you know? Okay, so it's happening at the same time as the other two, though, obviously. So the first two, they're doing this low-end, like, wobble, detune thing. And this third one is doing a higher-pitched trance gate rhythm. Okay, so the two counter rhythms happening at the same time. Okay, so that's the basic setup for the sound, just with using sine waves. Then I've got a couple of filters going on. So the first filter is going to basically filter out most of the low end of the first two that were doing the kind of wobble. And it's going to place those into the rhythm that the third one is following. So I've put the trance gate effect onto the filter, okay, of the low pass filter here. So starting all the way at 0 and going up about halfway, 6.64, and then that's just 64.17, I mean. So the first two sine waves, they had this natural movement and wobble on, but then I'm just sort of filtering all of that in line with the third oscillator's movement as well. So now they sort of all become more like they're following the same rhythm again. But you have this separation still, so you got like two parts to the sound, but both kind of following the same rhythm. And it's all going to change when I distort it, and I will tell you something about the distortion in a moment. But finally, on the third oscillator, I've got a little phaser filter just to change the tonality of that kind of higher pitched one, and I've put the trance gate effect on it up here for the filter shape, down here for the cutoff position, and also on the mix. So it's actually going to be off and then goes on as the note kind of comes up, the filter comes on. So it's like shaping the tone in line with the rhythm. And there's a little LFO 1 going backwards on the cutoff. So it actually the filter shape slightly moves to the left as you hold the note down, so it kind of variates over time a little bit more. Yeah, but both these filters have a fair bit of drive on them, and then so again, like the first two are going into number 1, and the third one's going into number 2, so they're separate. They're like working in parallel, not series. I'm so good with words today. Isn't that wonderful? Yes, it is wonderful. Yes, yes, it is. A bit more coffee. All right. Oh, I'm in a great mood this morning. All I'm going to do this week is make vital sounds. I love my life. Okay, next. What am I going to do next? That's it, really. No. There's a lot of effects happening, to be honest with you, Modries. But what I really need to talk about is the distortion, okay? Because I'm going all the way. I'm going ham, mouldy ham out of the fridge with it. Get that mouldy ham out of your fridge and be done with it. Just throw it straight in the trash. That's for you Americans out there, trash. We don't say that in England. I'm not actually in England, but I used to be. So what's worth noting is this is very important. I turned this on and drove it up. I drove it up the Primrose Path. I drove it up 30 dB and mixed it up all the way before I even turned Vital on, basically, before I even turned on the oscillators. So yeah, I've been lying to you. So what I actually did is I made the whole sound with the distortion on first. So now we can do it again. So first sine wave, second one detuning, third one with our lovely higher pitched movement. Okay, filtering the first two. Adding the tonality to the third one. It's a subtle tonality, but yeah, tames it a bit. Okay, so that's how I really did it, but don't tell the YouTube subscribers that I did that. It doesn't matter really. If you're following along, you're going to get the same result. But the idea is, when I started the patch, I wanted to do, I wanted to create the patch with all the distortion on the whole way, because I want to hear how the sine waves react through the distortion. I've mentioned this on previous videos multiple times, so it's nothing new really. But basically, I like to know, my goal is always to see how it responds when it goes through loads of distortion. That's the kind of game. Okay, so you can start with the distortion turned all the way on, and then the thing is to remember is, if you're doing that, you know, that's why I'm using sine waves really, because sine waves, they don't have any high end in, so when you distort them, it's not going to get really, really harsh in the highs. But if you're doing it like with saw waves, then it's going to get really, really loud and really harsh quickly. So that's why I actually like to use sine waves best out of any wavetable, because they respond best to distortion. So there we go. There you've got the main part to your sound already. So now we're just going to enhance it quickly. When I do the effects, again, because I'm like the naughty kid in the schoolroom that doesn't pay attention or listen to the teacher and just like keeps sharpening his pencil until there's like nothing left, and then like throws it at like the next person next to me, and then copies their test, and then you know, all this, and then, you know, selling like donuts and chocolate bars to students like during the class and stuff like that. Because I'm that naughty kid who just doesn't care at all what's happening in the lesson. I'm the same way with the effects. When you say, you know, like, oh, should this one go before this one or this? I don't care, because every sound I always want it to be different. So I would always just basically test the position of the effects, you know, just because that's the great thing about Vital. You can just move them around so easily. So when I put on the filter, you know, afterwards it has this sort of like scratchy high-end part to it, but before it like kind of smashes the bass and the mid-range together, so the whole sound becomes a bit more actually powerful in a sense. And I didn't know that was going to happen, so that was just, you know, from me messing around with the effects position just like randomly until I found that it actually sounded better before. And sometimes it will, sometimes it won't. So that's the whole idea, is just try not to be rigid with your like effects chain. Always like move things around. Chorus came next. 23%, 8 voices. The chorus in Vital is just unbeatable. I think it's probably the best chorus unit out of any choruses I've ever tasted. Tasty choruses. Oh, a good chorus tastes like a bowl of Lucky Charms if you get it right. Oh, wonderful. There we go, Modgies. We're back on track. Now the compressor, which is not a compressor, it's like an LFO tool. No, sorry, OTT. X for records, same thing. Here is where now, you know, we have only used sine waves, remember, just the sine waves, no high end or anything. Distortion is adding a lot of high end harmonics, but now the compressor's giving us that final brightness. That's why I like to use this unit, because it just turn the attack up a bit, turn the release down a bit, and then mix the amount up and down on my Transgate LFO to give like inject a bit of brightness into it. Okay, worth noting. I actually, there's the Transgate is kind of moving loads of stuff, so it's moving the mix on this filter that I've put on here. It's moving the cutoff position on that filter as well. Phaser positive filter. The phaser one's always amazing. And the Transgate is also moving the mix actually backwards a bit, down a bit on the chorus, so the chorus actually closes a little bit as the ARP, the high note of the ARP comes up. It kind of the chorus narrows down a bit. It becomes a little bit less chorused, so it almost feels a bit tighter in those moments when the ARP is popping up, you know. So when it comes down again to just the bassy part, then that part's a bit wider. So it's a little bit of a stereo movement with that mix on the chorus, but it's really subtle. But it did make a nice difference. Okay, so I'm paying attention to the tonality of the sound, how it moves, the power of it, and everything, and actually also the stereo movement within the sound. There's also like that's also on the move in the rhythm as well, you know. He's on the move. And the reverb then, just this is a little tail, 3%. Nothing much here. Same with delay, a little like 1% or just less. Little ping pong tail. Doesn't really need to be on there, to be honest, but sometimes I just like to press buttons. Boosting the high end with an EQ. I can't remember now if I left actually a flanger on as well. I don't think I did, because I made 2 versions of this sound. No, the flanger's off, so that's the last stage. Okay, and that's it then. That's the DRAGONSLAYER bass ARP. Really, really powerful. You could also do a little bit of like, you know, you can change the rhythm up, but it kind of just works nicely on this. I haven't even like played in a melody. That, you know, if you wanted to go a bit mental with the melody, I would definitely put the voices to 1, glide it and legato it, and then you could do some little grace notes. You could move it, yeah, glide it up nice and slowly, my G's. Anyway, that's the DRAGONSLAYER bass ARP, difficulty level 3.7 fish out of 9 cats. And if you want to cook some food and send it to me, you can do that. Just email me and I'll give you my address, and you can send me like some scampi and chips, or join Patreon if you want, and then I'll just use the money from that to go to the supermarket. All right, thank you very much. Have a great rest of your day. Much love. See you tomorrow.